Welcome, bienvenidos. Today we are going to be talking about Charlotte Dobre. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of Charlotte Dobre. I've been watching her content for 3-4 years, or a little longer than that. Let me put it to you this way. Charlotte was not married. Well, she just got married. Charlotte was not dating Mike when I started watching her videos, okay? And I absolutely love her AITA. I don't always agree with her, and that's going to be relevant for this particular video. But I like watching her, and I like hearing her perspectives, and I like her reactions to things, and her little tidbits of family lore that come with it, because her mom being Italian has a lot of influence on what she says on her channel. And so I was watching this video recently where she was, I believe she had already left for Italy. She was getting married. She got married recently. And she and Mike decided to do a joint AITA video. And this video upset me so much that I haven't been able to watch Charlotte since. So I'm hoping that I can get this off my chest and I can go back to watching her videos and not still have that in my head. You know how sometimes you hold on to something in your head and you're like hoping that if you let it out, it just ends? Let's see if that happens with this particular video. Now, what had happened was, I was watching the AITA video she did with Mike, and bottom line is this. There was a video that she made, or I should say a reaction she made to a post. The first post had to do with a maid of honor, and in fact the person writing the AITA was the actual bride. And what had happened was that the bride asked the bridesmaids to dress in a certain way, and this particular bridesmaid was not able to get a dress that was the one that they were supposed to wear, so she wore something a little different. She did not wear white. This is not about wearing white. It also happens that the girl is a lot taller and is muscularly built, and the other girls don't look like her. And so after the original pictures were taken, somebody mentioned that, you know, the composition of the pictures didn't look right because of the height of this person. And she said, somebody mentioned, well, maybe she shouldn't be in the pictures or something to that effect. The bottom line is that they took some pictures without this particular bridesmaid. And then when the bride came back from honeymoon and decided to show like a preview of the pictures that she was choosing from the photographer, every single picture that she picked did not have the bridesmaid in it. At which point the bridesmaid got very upset. And Charlotte, being a taller girl, she could relate to the circumstances of this particular bridesmaid, and she was absolutely on the side of the bridesmaid in this particular story. Now, I'm not tall. I'm not going to say how tall I am, but I'm not tall at all. I'm average height, and I can tell you that I can relate to that person based on having something that makes you different than everybody else in a particular scenario. Fast forward to a few minutes later, they're sharing another story where this girl is, her boyfriend's father was getting remarried. And the groom, in this circumstance, had made arrangements because his son's girlfriend and I believe there was another family member were gluten intolerant. Now, if you've been in this channel long enough, you know I have that situation, so I know how that feels. And it's very frustrating to try to go to events or try to go anywhere because pretty much everything has gluten in it. To make it easier for those of you who don't know what gluten is, think bread, think pizza, think pasta, cakes. Wedding cake would be a perfect example, etc. So what happened was the groom made arrangements to not only have options in the menu that the girl could eat, but they also had made a tray of cupcakes for her and the other family member to be able to have. And the family that was given the job of basically keeping the cupcakes so that nobody else would eat them went ahead and ate most of them. At which point, the two comments that Charlotte made about this situation was, "This is stupid, and these are first world problems." Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of people that have gluten intolerances or any other kind of food allergy. And I think gluten specifically gets a bad rap because people don't understand what that entails. For those of you who don't know, there are allergies to certain things that can kill you, basically. That's why you hear a lot about peanut allergies and people having to carry an EpiPen. When it's an intolerance to a specific food, it's not the same as being allergic to food, but it can be just as bad. A person that insists on eating gluten repeatedly, even though they're gluten intolerant, can get very, very sick. This is the weirdest part about this whole thing. I can eat something gluten and be fine, and I can wait 2 to 3 months, have something similar or even the same thing, and be sick for 3 or 4 days. It causes an impairment on your life, to the point where I have been sent home from work because I am so sick. So to think that that is a first world problem or something stupid, it's a little annoying in my opinion. But it just, the attitude that Charlotte demonstrated at that particular point was what got me. Because let me get this straight. You can relate to somebody that's tall like you, but you cannot relate to somebody that's got an intolerance to certain foods. And I know that they knew that there was something up with this because Mike kept his mouth shut. He did not agree or disagree. He just kept his mouth shut. And this is the point of this video. I don't care if you think this is first world problems or third world problems or whatever. If you can relate to somebody because you have the same circumstance, but you cannot relate to somebody else because you don't understand their situation, that's not empathy. You're just relating because you've been in that situation that she's been. It's really funny to me that Charlotte has mentioned many times things about being bullied and about being taken advantage of. And on those kinds of posts, she can always relate. But when it came to something as a food sensitivity, she couldn't relate, so she dismissed it. And if you look at the comment section on the specific video, one of the first comments is about somebody, "I love you, but this is the wrong take." And I have to agree with that. In fact, I believe I left my own comment. If I find it, I'll post it. But the reality is this: just because you don't live through something does not mean that you cannot have empathy for somebody. Because if something was left for you, because your circumstances are different, or because you cannot eat something, or because you cannot, that would be like, I don't know, somebody that was an alcoholic being invited to a wedding, being promised that they will have something to drink that is non-alcoholic, and then everything has alcohol in it. You wouldn't like it, would you? That's a completely different set of circumstances. That's even, to me, that's even worse. I can relate to somebody, even though I've never been an alcoholic. I can relate to somebody that's put in a bad position based on an addiction. Or I can relate to somebody that is taller than me, or I can relate to somebody that feels different or whatever, because I honestly believe that the true meaning of empathy is when you actually are in a situation that you have you've never been through that. For example, I will never be tall. At this point, I'm in my 50s. I am not going to grow an inch, okay? But can I relate to somebody that is taller and feels a little inadequate or feels out of place because all the friends are a certain height? Absolutely. Why is it that you can only relate to things that you've been through? You cannot see it in your heart, so you dismiss that person's reality because you cannot relate to it. That's where I got angry. Do I think that I'm going to watch Charlotte at some point and laugh at it again? Maybe, maybe not. I can tell you that ever since that video came out, I have not been able to watch any more of her videos. Am I ever going to watch her again? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this particular one. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.